my gun and my everything. I'm ready to. When I look at my honey-do list, this is what I do. I quote Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood has one of the best, phrases that goes with it. He says, "A man's got to know his limitations." I know my limitations. I'm a Jewish kid from the Bronx. When something went wrong, we call it super. I don't do ladders. I get the honey-do list. I call a handyman, preferably an old, ugly one. I don't want no young stud walking around with a hammer around my wife and kids. But do the honey-do list and keep it short. Next, security issues. You need to understand something. This is really crucial. The Bible says you leave your mother and father and cleave to your wife. Guys, some of you are still hanging out at home. Try to understand this. When it's between your mother and your wife, your mother must lose. Don't miss that. Your wife needs to know she's the only woman in your life. She needs to be secure knowing she's the only woman in your life. Second week I was married, my wife made me blintzes, like a cheese crepe, grape blintzes. And I, famous faux pas, she looked at me and said, "What'd you think?" And I went, "Man, these are really good. Not like my mom's, but really good." Oh, you've been there, huh? You did that one, right? I haven't had blintzes in 27 years, guys. You gotta deal with women's self-image. Let me help you out with this, guys. Women have a thing about self-image. They're taught from the very beginning of their lives that what they look like means something to them. And so you need to be really careful how you deal with their self-image. When your wife comes home and says, "Honey, I'm getting fat," don't fall into the trap of going, "Yeah, you really are." Fool. You say, "Well, sweetheart, if it would make you feel better to go on a diet, that's okay with me, but I love you just the way you are." Some of you want to write that down, don't you? But there's more important security issues. A woman's got to know you're not going to leave. You must never, never, never use the word divorce in your life. Now, don't get me wrong, you might want to threaten to kill, but you may never use the word divorce. You see, you need to understand that divorce isn't just a way out for you and your wife. The consequences are far greater. It upsets the whole apple cart. It goes well beyond your problems and your wife's problems. It creates problems for your kids and our society. Do you understand? The cost of divorce is too great. It's not available. Try to understand something, guys. When you got married, it was two people becoming a Siamese twin. You are forever changed the moment you become one flesh. It's like, I don't want to dramatize this in the wrong way. It's like taking your finger and chopping it off and going, "It ain't growing back." You are forever different. You can't go back. And if this whole thing, "Well, we tried and it doesn't work," you didn't try nothing. You don't understand. Marriage is a 50-year proposition. After 50 years, if it doesn't work, then come and tell me it doesn't work. It ain't supposed to work in the first 10 years. Look, man, I've been married happily for 25 years. I've been married for 27. Women have a security problem, and you got to deal with that security problem. You got to make them feel secure, which means you've got to be faithful to them. You got to be faithful to them with your eyes. Now, I fell for this early, but I stopped, okay? Like you're walking down the street and this babe goes, and I mean she is a babe. And you go, and your wife's sitting right there and and she knows she ain't stupid. They have radar. Any fox goes by, they know. You know what I mean? And they're always checking you out to see if you're stupid enough to be looking. right? And then they go, my, was she pretty? And you, foolish girl, yeah, she was. Wrong answer. She? Was there somebody here? I'm sorry, did I miss something, dear? Faithful with your eyes. Faithful with your emotions. Hey, let me tell you something, guys. And this is serious. You cannot find another woman to talk to about your emotional problems. You can't go to your secretary or your friend's friend or that you're running with, or some babe that you're, and you can't go to them and go, my wife just doesn't listen to me anymore. You can't do that. You're committing emotional adultery. God gave you one woman to satisfy your physical and emotional needs to. If you're right now finding succor and comfort and emotional satisfaction in the ears of another woman, you are committing emotional adultery. And it's only a matter of time before it gets physical. You got to stop it, and you got to stop it now. You got to be faithful to her with your mind and your heart. Guys, and I'm going to talk straight now, okay? No more pornographic literature. Let me tell you something, guys, okay? Let me tell you how it works. You fill your mind with that pornographic literature, and then you go home and you think you're making love to your wife. You're not making love to your wife. You got that mind, you got that image in your head. That's not love making. You're using your wife for your own sexual gratifications. I'm going to step on some toes here, but you got to hear this, okay? We need to get rid of that pornographic literature in our head and our heart. We got to start building ourselves some walls. I want you to hear this, okay? Remember David and Bathsheba? Remember, I'll tell you what was wrong with David. He should have never gone up to the roof. I mean, there is this absolute knockout babe down the block that he doesn't know lives there. Come on, man. I don't know, it's hot. I think I'll take a walk up to the roof. I understand it's bathing time about now, David, what you doing on the roof? You can't be on the roof. Once you're on the roof, you're lost. You travel, you stay at a hotel. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, check in. That's when you say, please turn off the pornographic movies. I don't want any in my room. Because at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to have enough strength to do that. So you determine before you get into that room that you're not going to watch that garbage. And at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when you have the strength and the wherewithal, you say, please block all TV. Because at 3 o'clock in the morning, when you're all alone, you're up on the roof. You got to be faithful to her with your eyes, with your heart, and with your mind. All right, let's talk about the next issue, romance, or as what we call it, sex. Haven't you ever noticed that we have a whole different take on it? Remember the movie Annie Hall? Great flick. Annie Hall, there was kind of an interview. Woody Allen is asked how his sex life is, and he says, oh man, we hardly ever do it. I mean, we just never get to do it. He says, well, how many times do you do it? He says, I don't know, if we're lucky, maybe 3 times a week. And then they go to Annie Hall and say, well, how's your sex life? He says, man, the guy's nuts. We're doing it all the time, whenever we can. She says, how many times? At least 3 times a week. She thinks too much. He doesn't think enough. You see, we think that's romance. It's not romance. Romance to your wife is relationship. How many times have I come and I hug my wife and she just wants to get cuddle and I'm hugging her and I'm thinking, this is going someplace, I'm hoping it's going someplace. And then she's going, honey, can't we just huddle? And I'm going, this ain't going anywhere. Well, let me give you some ways to build romance, okay? Buy roses. You don't have to buy a dozen, but that ain't bad either. And buy them often. Write love letters. Even these little Post-its, hi sweetheart, I love you, have a great day. Or mushy ones, I can't wait to get a hold of you, I love you, you drive me crazy. Find a nickname that you have. have, you know. Date once